Are we ready, gentlemen? Okay, Alderman, if you're ready to get started, since the Mayor Pro Tem is absent this evening, you're going to need to elect an acting Mayor Pro Tem. That acting Mayor Pro Tem will only serve as the presiding officer for this evening. So whoever, one of you that gets elected for that, or elected by the membership, elected by the board, I'll continue to call that presiding officer either Alderman or Mayor Pro Tem. So with that being said, we will make a note of it on our minutes, but it's a formality that is not on the agenda because we don't have a mayor, an acting mayor, a Mayor Pro Tem this evening, or mayor. So therefore, if one of you will take the lead or make a motion or discuss it, so we can elect an acting Mayor Pro Tem, please do so.
Yeah, so I'd like to go ahead and nominate or ask for consideration that Alderman McDonald run the meeting tonight.
Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so 3, you're abstaining?
I'm abstaining, yes.
Okay, so 3-1. Thank you. Alderman McDonald, if you'll take, if you can stay there or take the seat.
No, I'm going to bring that to me. I'm not going to take that seat. Good evening. Call to order the regular Board of Aldermen meeting for Salado, Texas, Municipal Building at 301 North Stagecoach Road, Salado, Texas. December 18th, 2025. The time now is actually 6:32 in the evening. Mr. Delarosa, will you please call the roll?
Alderman McDonald, this evening Mayor Pro Tem Zach Hurst is absent, but you do have Alderman Sandor, Alderman Lassiter, Alderman Dunch, and yourself, so we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, at this moment, please bow your head and just pray to your God for this moment of our time in our lives. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Now, if we could please rise, remove our headgear for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. As an admin note, real quick, if you have a cell phone, if you could make sure that minimum it's on silent or vibrate. Thank you. Public comment. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments from citizens on issues and items of concern not on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit when addressing the board. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak during this time period. Speakers desiring to speak on an agenda item will be allowed to speak when the agenda item is called. Inquiries about matters not listed on the agenda will either be directed to the staff or placed on a future agenda item for Alderman consideration. So we do have some comments. So Ms. Walsh.
Good evening, Board and Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, and also the Manny. Good evening. Anyway, I'm Darlene Walsh, live at 1001 Mill Creek Drive, Salado. Been here since 1993, and 2 different residences, but still here. And I just wanted to say, first of all, I wanted to thank, whoever our mayor is here now, and Mayor Pro Tem, I guess, and the board, for your volunteer time and efforts that you put into every meeting. I know it takes a lot of time and effort to do the homework, to do the research, to do the reading, and we really appreciate all that you're doing for our town, the welfare of our town and our people, and we appreciate the hours that you put into making important decisions. So I think you need to know that people do appreciate you, okay? We really appreciate you. I know how much work it is. I did it for 3 years, so in the beginning, and it was a hard time. Anyway, when people are not used to having rules. I wanted to also thank Commissioner Whitson, Bobby Whitson, for all that you do for town, and for all the work you did on West Village Road, Thomas Arnold, Williams Drive. I mean, very important streets that are in much better shape thanks to you. Appreciate it. And I wanted to also say I've heard a lot of positive comments all over town concerning the control of the Main Street Bridge during with the one lane crossing during the 2 weekends of the stroll. A lot of people were very appreciative of that and thought it was a great idea. In fact, it helped with preventing it probably helped with preventing some accidents and between pedestrians and autos. In fact, I think it works so well that maybe I'm thinking maybe it would be a thought to consider trying the same thing out between the bridge and a part of Royal Street. If that's, we do it in Mill Creek with a one-way bridge, and everybody pretty much seems to get along. Wave to your neighbor as they cross one at a time. It works, and that way pedestrians are not harmed, and there are a lot of pedestrians along there too. Anyway, I just want to say that that's a possibility in my mind. And lastly, I'd like to say, if there's any way we could find some funds to trim dead limbs that hang over streets in town. Honestly, I keep thinking one day I'm going to cross under that dead tree going into Mill Creek, and it's just going to crush me. It happens. It happened. It's happened on the golf course here. It happened to our governor. It does happen. Dead limbs do fall. And anyway, so I just think that it's number one importance is to provide a safe place in town, and I hope we could find some kind of funds to take care of that. And I've been taking pictures of the dead limbs. So before somebody is, and of course the potholes are important too, but I would hate to see anybody harmed or maimed or killed because of that. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Next person is Mr. Brian. I'm not going to butcher your name, sir. Zabchek. Thank you, sir.
Can someone let me know when, like, I only have 1 minute left?
Sir?
Can someone let me know when I only have 1 minute left?
There'll be a clock running for you.
Oh, great. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all today. My name is Brian Zabchik. I live out at Zabchikville, which is east of Temple. I'm here in my capacity of Zabchikville, home of the Green Sausage House, which you should go to if you haven't already. I'm here in my capacity as the Advocacy Director for Save Texas Streams organization based in Austin. We're an environmental nonprofit. We work to protect the water quality and water supply in our state's streams, aquifers, and watersheds. I'm here to talk to y'all specifically about a large number of pending wastewater discharge permit applications that are currently pending with TCEQ, including one that is going to be coming up for a public meeting held by TCEQ on January 27th. I have a packet that I'm going to pass out to y'all that has a little more information on this that I'll go ahead and say a little bit more. But in terms of action by y'all, I would suggest that maybe you might consider putting this on your agenda for the next meeting, which I believe is on January 8th as a formal topic for discussion. And also too, because TCQ is going to be holding this public meeting on the permit application for the reserve on Salado Creek on January 27th, that this village might want to consider filing official public comments with TCQ at that time, or before that time, because filing public comments would also to give the village the opportunity to request a contested case challenge for the permit later if the village chose to do that. You would not be able to do that if you did not file public comments before or at the public meeting. So I'll pass this out at the end of my remarks, but Save Texas Streams, we were founded in 1979 as Save Barton Creek Association. That makes us one of the oldest grassroots environmental groups in the state. We gradually expanded our reach to not only focus on Barton Creek, but the Austin area, and then the greater Hill Country and Central Texas area. We recently changed our name to Save Texas Streams to reflect our larger scope of our work. A lot of our work is on wastewater permit applications, and people are very aware of the problems that discharge permits cause in the greater Austin area and in the Hill Country. I do not think that people are as aware up here. I'd say that as a Bell County resident. There are currently 7 pending wastewater discharge permit applications on Salado Creek that would join 4 existing permit applications. This is going to be in the packet that I give to y'all. Combine these 11, if the pending ones are approved, would discharge up to around 8 million gallons per day of treated sewage, treated wastewater into Salado Creek from Florence down to here. That's a lot. That's essentially like the volume of a large municipal city sewage treatment plant. And we have seen the problems that this can cause actually very close by. On the South San Gabriel River, just west of Georgetown, west of Georgetown, the city of Liberty Hill has been discharging its treated wastewater into the South San Gabriel River and causing very, very extensive problems with excessive algae growth that has stretched for like several miles downstream for over a decade, making the river basically unusable both by people and by wildlife. And Liberty Hill has only been discharging like around a million gallons per day into the South San Gabriel River. These permits, these 11 permits, are going to be spread out, but they will still, as I say, be discharging up to almost 8 million gallons a day. Also, too, most of these permits are over the Edwards Aquifer Recharge Zone. I've been working on this issue with Mike Clifford at the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance. These permits would not have even been able to be filed if it were over the Edwards Aquifer south of the Colorado River, because TCEQ banned new discharge permits south of the Colorado River in 1996. The impact on local wells could be very considerable around here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Jones, you have 2 check marks here, 2 different subjects, ma'am? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Lynette Jones. I reside at 6314 Bo Allen Court in Salado. I do want to speak in the public comments and to the agenda item, and some of it will cross over, but they are different reasons for me speaking 2 different times. I just want to say from the meeting last December the 11th, there were a lot of things that were said that I wasn't here to respond to. One of them being that we had not taken care of water leaks that were happening in the building, and those have been corrected. And, like I say, I wasn't here to defend myself, so I couldn't say. Also, during kind of the same discussion, Ms. Whitson made a comment that the museum is owned by the Robertson family. And I know she didn't know, and I'm not degrading her about it, but it's very important. The museum is owned by the 501c3, known as Salado Museum in College Park. It was established in 1959 by a member of the Robertson family. And while the museum story is a lot about the Robertson family, the current descendants do not hold ownership to the museum or College Park. It's totally owned by the nonprofit. And I also feel very strongly about a statement made by Alderman McDonald in reference to renting the 805 North Main space. And he said, I quote, he would like to relieve his mind of doubt that ever an event at the museum occurred or that they became insolvent or some version thereof, then we would be trying to find a new place. I'm not quite sure why he would throw a statement like that out that would indicate that the museum is possibly seeing insolvency. Neither did my board appreciate that. And also, I don't understand, but I'm not going to get too far into that. In August of 2024 at a budget meeting, Alderman McDonald also complained that the village was paying too much money for the 2 small offices at the museum and that there were cheaper options in town that would better serve the village. And now he wants to leave the museum and is willing to pay more money in basic rent plus all the utilities. In the Thursday night meeting, he suggested that they would be paying about the same with the change in the lease, and I'm not sure what he meant by that. The lease at 805 North Main, according to the information presented, is for $1,771 and some odd cents, plus all the utilities. They would pay less than $1,500 with all the utilities included at the museum. I'm not sure how he thinks that it adds up to the same amount of money. He also stated it wouldn't come out of a general fund, but out of a hot side of the house. I don't live in the village, but I'm a taxpayer. And paying more than $500 a month is spending more taxpayer money, even if it does come from the hot side. And maybe that extra $6,000 expenditure per year could be used to promote more events in the village. And I might also add that all the money paid to the museum stays local, and it supports the mission of the museum and not a doctor from Austin. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Presentation of safety fees for fiscal year 25 by Mr. Shea Ledecky, Bell County Tax Assessor Collector. Sir, welcome.
Thank you. Acting Mayor Pro Tem, Alderman, thank you for having me. I'm Shea Ledecky.
Sorry.
Don't worry. I hear it many different ways. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to come out here and present the child safety fees to all the cities. This is my last stop on the tour. I want to recognize Commissioner Bobby Whitson, Precinct 2. Thank him for his support for this program. In FY25, we collected $1.50 on registering 333,600 vehicles across Bell County. We collected $1.50 on all of those, and that totals over $500,000. That's a lot of $1.50 fees. It's a 25,517 vehicle increase over FY24. So if you've noticed a lot of traffic out there on the roads, we've registered 25,000 more vehicles in Bell County. So it has increased. Since the program started in 2001, Bell County has collected and distributed $9,685,141.98. Of that total, we allocated $81,431.36 to the Village of Salado. I think I mentioned before, I don't know if everybody knows, but these funds are allocated to the cities based on population, and it's from the 2020 census. So Next, I'm going to read a little paragraph that I read every year about how these funds can be used. As outlined in the Transportation Code, Chapter 502.403, the county tax assessor collector has the authority, with the approval from the Commissioners Court, to levy an additional $1.50 per vehicle registration, excluding those exempted by code. These funds are earmarked for existing crossing guard programs. In cases where school districts lack a crossing guard program, the money may be allocated to initiatives for promoting child safety, health, or nutrition. This includes support for child abuse prevention, intervention, as well as drug and alcohol abuse prevention. Alternatively, the funds can be directed towards programs enhancing public safety and security, as per Article 102.014G of the Code of Criminal Procedure. The check for this year's allocation for Salado is $2,927.34. This notification was also sent to the Salado Independent School District. With that, it concludes my presentation, and I have a check for y'all.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
You guys want me to get a photo of y'all together, or?
Sure. Come on up and get a photo, guys. Please. Right here.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me get Alderman Sanders, if you'll move a little bit to your right. That'll get right there, gentlemen. Thank y'all very much.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I say something to Mr. Ludicky before he leaves?
Absolutely. Mr. Ludicky?
I'm speaking for myself and my experience, but I've never met you before, but I've heard your name many times, and I've been in your offices a number of times over the 20 some odd years I've owned property and here and also living here. And I just really want to tell you that I think you do an exceptional job. Your staff, the times I've been in there, have been polite, professional, helpful, efficient, and I really just give you an A+ for your organization. I really do, and that's not a paid-for public announcement. That's just to say thank you. I know you get lots of feedback and lots of sometimes constructive criticism, sometimes destructive, but I think you do a marvelous job, and I'm happy to support you personally. But I wanted to say that publicly because I think you deserve it.
Thank you, sir. And I couldn't do it. I think it's all said. I couldn't do it without the support of my staff and the support of the government and the support of help me with the skills I need to do.
Appreciate you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely. Okay, next item. Number 3, consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of December 11th, 2025 Board of Aldermen special meeting. Acknowledgement of receipt of the petition for release from the Village of Salado's extraterrestrial jurisdiction from Billy Helm and Vicky Helm.
You don't have to read the legal description.
Thank you. So, need a motion on the consent agenda. Okay, we have a motion to approve consent agenda is written by Alderman Lassiter. Do I get a second? Second by Alderman Dunch. Do I get a question?
Question.
Question by Alderman Sandor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That's 4-0, man. Discuss and consider possible action regarding any item removed from the consent agenda. There is none. So at this point, we're moving on to number 5, which is Village Administrator's Report. Sir.
Okay, Alderman, in front of you, you'll have up there, you'll see the sales tax collection report for the funds that were actually representing October sales collected in November and allocated here in December. So you'll see that December 2025 and December 2024 were very close by. We were actually about $100 less this year than prior year. And again, from in comparing that to December 2023, much better this year. So any questions on the sales tax collection report? Okay, if not, questions?
Alderman Sanders?
No questions.
Yes, is there any explanation at all why we were flat between last year at 78,000 that you know of, and a year later, 78?
Yes, sir. I get the reports from the Municipal Advisory Council monthly, and it doesn't give any type of information, and we don't get individual reports on sales tax from businesses. It's private information.
Follow-up question, really good. I think it would be helpful. I haven't told the other aldermen, but in looking at sales tax reports, I think it would be very helpful to have a line graph or bar chart or however it's preferred to present, but it would be nice to track year over year on that cumulatively, not just by month, but just to see that laid out coming across several years. I'd maybe go back 2 or 3 years and bring it forward, and we can track that visually. It lets us look in the past easier without just looking at 3 numbers.
Okay, I sent you occasionally, about every 6 weeks, I send you the graph, the bars on the graph. It's got a bar graph and it's got another graph in it. But will that work or more detail? Because I mean, I can. It's hard to get it up on this screen. It's very, which is what I've been sending you by email at your request early on. So I get all of those graphs off the website from the Municipal Advisory Council, which is all cities. If you want me to actually put one on Excel or some type of other graph, I'll have to play with it, but I don't know if it's going to show that well on this thing multi-years.
Yeah, it's okay as long as it's on the chart as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
on the internet, on our website, so people can see
Okay. Yeah.
see it. I would just like that kind of included if it's not visually easy up here on the screen or anything like that. If we could just include that so the members of the community can track that. I mean,
Okay. And what I can do is I can put that bar chart as part of the packet. Every PowerPoint slide will show a graph of some kind that's available. I'll copy and paste and put it on there. And that way it'll be in the board packet that we publish on our website.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll work toward that, if that works with everybody.
Worth a try. I think that's,
Well,
that's an effort towards it. But I think it'd be more informative and just kind of see a longer trend as we're moving forward. So
very good.
if they're okay with that, I mean, beyond, is that okay with y'all? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Doe.
Questions? No questions from me, then, Mr.
Okay. Moving on to the next one, you'll see you've got your financial reports. Just so that you'll know, let's see, under assets and the second column, occupancy tax fund, you'll see $34,261, but you'll see that it's due from other funds. Then the wastewater fund, the third column, you'll see $144,268 fund, and then we reimburse like the hot funds. It could be the benefit, the salary and benefits.
Right.
We're paying the wastewater fund, and then we reimburse it. We pay out of the general and then reimburse it out of the wastewater fund. So if you see something online that is just, it's transactional, and you'll see it as you're going through other registries. Any questions on any particular line item that you want me to try to respond to?
Alderman Sanders?
No question.
Alderman Left?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I think we're getting pretty good at the answer, but I'd like you to kind of go over, assure me and the others on our yields we're getting off our deposits at Horizon Bank. Could you
Okay.
expand a little on that, please?
Yes, sir. Let me get to that. Give me 1 second. I do have it here. Okay. Horizon Bank, general fund, payroll deposits, the police department forfeiture fund, hot funds, wastewater operating and impact fees all get 1%. That's Horizon Bank. The entrance and sinking money market account gets 4.06%.
And how much is invested in that?
I didn't write that down. I just kept the interest. So I'll have to send you an email with that, or I'll make sure that next time I come in, I've got those amounts for you.
Do you have an approximate guess on that?
No, sir. No, my memory's not what it used to be. So I don't try to speculate anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. The 2025 capital projects money market, 2.02%. And the tax pool daily net yield is 3.98% as of November 12th. We said we were going to move funds. We have moved funds. It took me a little while, better part of 2 weeks. Tax pool was set up with Cadence Bank. So I think we've been with Horizon Bank for a number of years. Well, I couldn't move anything from Horizon to tax pool till we updated our bank information and that we could make those transfers.
Okay.
That's been corrected. Cadence Bank is no longer listed with tax pool. Horizon Bank is. And at the end of this month, you'll see the new transactions, how much it is, but I can tell you how much we've transferred. Out of the 2025 capital projects money market that we had, we moved, which is that 1.3 million, we moved 900,000 into tax pool.
At
Okay.
3.9%.
Yes, sir. Okay. And out of the hot funds, and we have a little over 300,000, we moved 200,000 into tax pool at that higher rate.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So it'll be reflective on the 12/31 financials.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. I might have had one more question, Mayor Pro Tem. Let me ask just a second. On the hotel motel hot tax income statement, I was looking at the rebates, the Stagecoach Inn rebates this past 2 months on this. It was $13,908.
What page is it on? Bottom right?
Oh, I'm
What's that
sorry.
number?
It would be 5082.
Oh, no. The
Hotel
page
motel
number.
fund.
Alderman Lassiter, what page are you on?
Yeah, it says page 4 of something, or page 5.
That's page 1 of 1 at the
Oh,
bottom.
okay, it's by itself.
For
Okay.
hotel motel side.
Let me get there then. 1 second. Okay, page 1 of 1. I've seen it, and what is that number?
55082. 13,908. It's just showing as an expenditure this month, and I was just asking what that was.
That would be the agreement, the incentive development agreement with the Stagecoach Inn. That was in about a year and a half ago. They provided an update recently, but they'll be back in either early part of 2026 because they need to provide their budget plan. So, but that's we're 1 year into this, so we did cut some rebates early in 2025.
Okay, so as I recall, we were going to, when they were up here last time, we were deferring some of the incentive payments to see the performance records through the end of the year, which we see
Yeah.
in January, is that correct?
Yeah, we haven't done the incentives for this year.
Okay.
And, yeah, and,
So we're still in hold on that pending the performance conclusion of the annual fiscal year that they're on.
yes, sir, the rebates that were provided they started in about April of 2024. So that was the 2024, either fiscal or calendar year.
Okay.
I can't recall. And now they're looking at the 2025 will be sometime in 2026.
Okay, we'll be evaluating that in mid-January.
Absolutely.
possibly.
And
Okay.
you might recall, yeah, we had some concerns about.
Yes, I do
Yeah.
recall that. And I'm just looking forward, hoping that's good news, and they're continuing to improve daily, which appears to be.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, I believe that's my last question. So thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Durham.
Which for which, okay, 1 or 5. Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, yes, I had a note on that. From year to date through 12/12, we collected $6,100. So yes. Yes, sir. Yep, yeah. Remember, yeah, the ordinance got passed after the budget was prepared, so once we get enough historical data, we'll be able to better forecast that. Yes, sir.
All right. I don't have any questions either, Mr. Del Rosa, so. Chief, if you would, please. And good evening, sir.
Is it Mayor Pro Tem, Acting Mayor Pro Tem?
Bob,
Members of the board.
there you go.
Makes it a whole lot easier to say members of the board. Monthly stats for November. Calls for service were up, excuse me, up 127 from 546 to 673. During that same time frame, we did make 6 arrests. We had 62 traffic stops resulting in 48 citations. That's an enforcement rate of 77.41%. Traffic accidents were slightly lower, which I'm very glad to report on that. If you look at the notable calls for service, I listed the 6 arrests on there. I'd like to point out November the 13th, 2025. Officers were dispatched to a reckless driver involving an 18-wheeler on IH-35, marked as possibly impaired. The vehicle was located. Probable cause was observed. The vehicle was stopped. During the course of the roadside interview, it became very apparent that the vehicle was being operated by an individual who was under the influence of narcotics and/or alcohol. The subject was offered field sobriety tests but was unable to perform them due to levels of intoxication. He was arrested without incident and transported to the Bell County Jail, where he voluntarily submitted a blood specimen, and that blood specimen was later transported to the DPS crime lab for forensic testing. I haven't got the results back on that, but I bring that up to remind you that we just spoke about blood evidence collection tubes, and that was our last one. So I do have one extra that I have borrowed from another organization. But with that being said, now that we've got that open, thank you for opening that door so we can replenish those. House watches. House watches are up slightly. Area checks are up a lot. 59 house watches and 123 area checks. I am happy to report, we discussed last time, P1, priority 1 calls for service were 7 minutes and 14 seconds. We've got that down to 5 minutes and 19 seconds. Shaved almost a full 2 minutes off of that. And as we spoke about during the promotion ceremony for Lieutenant Dunshee, he has been accepted into the Leadership Command College, and he will be departing on January the 5th. The other 2 things that I'd like to add on to that departmental news, John Umpleby is coming to us as a reserve officer. He is a retired Dallas PD officer. Currently, he is works for the University of Mary Hardin Baylor Police Department. He doesn't want to do full-time anymore and loves our community, so would like to come down and volunteer. We've got another gentleman by the name of Hugh Hardy. He's a 2-year veteran with the Killeen Police Department. He's financially at a situation where he can pursue his true love in life, which is aviation. So he's going to go learn to be a pilot, and in exchange, he's going to work for us for 16 hours a month for free, and we're going to hold his commission. So with that being said, I know I covered that pretty quickly. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to go over any of that. Alderman, stand up.
When are your blood tests to arrive here?
I just got the authorization to make the order, so should be very short.
Week or two?
Hopefully.
And with Dungy going out to continue training and these other part-time officers that you have coming in, there's effectively no overlap in watch.
No, none at all. Normally,
Overlap wasn't the right word. Yeah.
well, we're not going to have a gap in coverage.
Thank you.
No, sir, we won't have a gap in coverage. Normally, I cover the day shift, and Dungy will cover the night shift if we have any openings. But I've got some reserve officers now that can come in and step in and help on a day-to-day basis. And if not, I can cover the night shift as well. I'm not scared of the dark.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Thank you. On the last bit.
That's, a reserve officer like Uncle B is a total, it's a donation basically of his time free with no.
Yes, sir. We hold their commission. Yes, sir. We hold their peace officer commission through the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. In exchange, they give us 16 hours of free labor a month. They come out and help ride with an officer, be a secondary officer on duty. I don't know if you guys know John Umbleby. I know you know John Umbleby. He helped us out with the stroll. He worked all 4 nights of the stroll. Helped man a place that I didn't have to pay either overtime for an officer or pay off-duty security for an officer out of Belton to come down and assist us. So that kind of saved us some money on that.
What does a reserve officer get or benefit from doing that? Is there like continuing education credits that they get for, or what is the reason they would do that?
TCO, all peace officers carry a TCO license.
What is that?
It's Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. It's our peace officer license.
Okay.
No different than a driver's license that allows you to drive. We have a license that allows us to be a peace officer. If you don't have your license carried, then you can't exercise powers of a peace officer. And if your license hasn't been carried for a certain amount of time, don't quote me on it, I thought it was 180 days, maybe a little bit longer, then you take the possibility of having your license suspended. And a lot of people have worked really hard to get their peace officer license, and this is an opportunity for them to pursue other things while still maintaining their peace officer license.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, if I may ask the
Yeah.
Chief, explain over 16 hours.
We do have a provision written into the policies that say if there's a situation where they need to go over 16 hours in any particular given month, at the discretion with the approval of the chief of police, that we pay them. I believe the rate is $20 or $25 an hour for each hour they worked over 25 for each hour over the 16 hours. So there's a possibility. Say for instance, and I hope this never happens, but we have a natural disaster and I need to call people in, and Officer Umbleby has already done his 16 hours for the month. We would pay him $25 an hour to come out and help.
It's 16 every month. It doesn't accrue. It's just the zero basis. It's monthly. Okay. I don't have another question, but I do want to compliment y'all as Ms. Walsh did. I think y'all did a great job on the traffic control, and I had numerous people tell me how great it was to have that extra lane on the low water bridge, particularly the number of people we had at the stroll, which was
I can tell you it was new for us. We had to do some massaging on the travel times. Had to make a few changes here, a few changes there. Miss Holly Landers was excellent. She was from the barricade company that brought the lights out. She remained inside the village, and anytime we needed alterations on the timing, she was there to make those corrections for us. We got it massaged, and towards the end of the stroll, the last couple of days, that Friday and Saturday, the last weekend, I think worked really, really well. We had a few hiccups at the beginning where we would have a green light where people were still coming across the bridge. It happens. But we got it worked out where I believe the timing, the spatial timing was good.
All in all, I thought it was great and a great improvement for the stroll. And I'm sure y'all can chime in and say what you want, and I hope you do, but I thought it was great, and I appreciate very much y'all's work.
Thank you, sir.
Alderman Dunn?
That is, no, she's got the key to the side of the box. She may be able to give it to me, but I haven't asked her that yet. But yeah, if we go with the same company, Holly was great. If we're going to use that same company again, I would highly recommend it. She was Johnny on the spot. If we needed anything, she helped us put out barricades. She helped us pick up barricades. She made sure that everything ran smoothly. Godsend, to be honest with you. So if we use a company to do that again next year, I would highly recommend Barricade Connection, I believe is what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend them again. Or I don't know if we can buy our own. I can tell you that on the first Friday we had them out, we had a pretty good backup up Main Street. But we made multiple adjustments on that. And I would call Holly on the cell phone and say, hey, could you add 15 more seconds each direction? Hey, could you add 5 more seconds each direction? Hey, could you add 10 more seconds each direction? And then finally we got it to where it wasn't a problem, if that makes sense. It's trial and error.
And Chief, the name of the company is Central Barricades.
Central Barricades?
Yeah, Holly Landers. Yeah.
I just talked to Holly.
Other questions? Chief, thanks for what you're doing. I do have a question for you as well. Based on your experience in our community, we have other events that go on from time to time. Would there be any other events that you would recommend those traffic control items be utilized on the bridge? I'm thinking out loud, Scottish Games, something to that effect.
Not necessarily. As I can tell you, during the Scottish Games, when we do the parade down Main Street, we block all of Main Street off.
Sure.
So that would probably be a moot point there. I can't think of another major event that we have that we would use those for. But I will say that they came in very handy.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Any other questions? Comments? No. Thank you, Chief. Ms. Whitson. Good evening.
Good. I don't even know how to do this now. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem. Is that for you and Alderman? This evening, I'm going to be giving our November Convention and Visitor Bureau report, and obviously, we'll start off with our website metrics. We were really excited to see these numbers because they had gone up significantly from last year or from last month. So we're always excited to see that. And our marketing initiatives. We did some Salado photography, just going around town, taking pictures, updating our pictures that we currently have in our stash. Tour Texas, they had asked every town in each community for Texas. They are revamping their website page, and we uploaded our own Salado pictures to go in there, so we'll see where that hits on their site. And then also, we created a new brochure that will connect, that is already connected to our website and to Tour Texas. And what this is if somebody's coming to our website and they're wanting to know more about Salado, then it gives them all the information, goes to our website, and then it also, we connected our partners with it as well too. So here's what we did on that. I have it right here, if you like it. Yeah. It's supposed to be a trifold brochure, but when it prints out on my printer, that's how it prints. But if you go to our website or Tour Texas, you can find it on there as well. It's a travel brochure. And then as we move along, we have our welcome groups. And on November the 6th, we were able to welcome the Fort Campbell Recovery Group from Kentucky. They are a military group that offers personal support to wounded, ill, or injured soldiers. And this is a retreat for them. And they come to Texas every year, and they spend a week in Texas. And it's just a growth for them. So they came to Salado, and they got to experience our museum, and they got to experience Salado Glassworks. And in the conversation, I was also able to find out where they stay normally, and I was able to get the contact information in hopes that we can have them come and stay the week with us in Texas. And then if they want to go to the other towns for the experience, then they can do that. So we made that connection as well. November 7th through 9th with the Scottish Games. We know the museum does an awesome job putting that together. And we were there and presents just to provide any visitor bags and be there to welcome all the visitors that came through the visitor center. And then on November the 11th, I was there for the Salado BFW Veterans Day ceremony at the Salado ISD building, and I was able to welcome and thank our soldiers who had been there for their service for the Veterans Day event. Salado visitor bags, we did give 20 to the Fort Campbell Recovery Group. My pitch to them was to bring your sweetheart back to Salado and let that be a destination that you come to again. So, and then in our development outreach, we do have a tree farm here in Salado, and so I collaborated with them, and so that we could add that as a Salado experience for the stroll and for anything December, Christmas time, which also included I went out to their tree farm, and as their trees had been delivered, did a Facebook Live. Facebook Live is very popular with people so that they would know what they were, to see the tree farm itself, to see the nostalgia, see it was in Texas, see it was here in Salado, and then offer that as an experience in addition to any other incentives for them to do while they're here. And so that went really well. And then I've been doing some research for the next year so that we can have some consistency in what we have going throughout the year. And in that, I found medical tourism as a very big impact for tourism side. And since COVID, that's really just blown up tremendously. Mm-hmm. And with that, what people are looking for is a nice, soft, safe place, town to go to while they're doing their treatments or their therapy. So I connected with our businesses here locally that are in the medical field or in the spas to kind of get a little bit more idea on them to say, hey, when I go, I'd love to go and talk to our local hospitals and offer them as Salado to be the retreat for their patients. And in that, I also learned that some of these are specially certified. For instance, a cancer patient can't just go for a regular massage. They have to go to a specific massage depending on the treatment they get. And we have certified people here in our town for that. So I am going to be getting together with them. They were all very excited and to see exactly what we have to offer. And that way, myself or some of them can go with me and we can go and present that to the hospitals. I'd like to also do that in Williamson County too, so that our town is the town where there's no white coats. I'm very familiar with no white coats. Our son is a cancer survivor, and we are very familiar when kids are in the hospital and people are in the hospital that there is a particular spot that there are no white coats. And that's what people look for, and that's what we would like to offer that for Salado, is there are no white coats. Come here for a retreat. We have art, we have live music, we have the creek for journaling, we have the Pace Park, All Abilities Playground. I mean, there's so many avenues and so many things that we can touch on it, and I think this is going to be a really fun and an awarding offer for our town here in Salado. So we are doing some more research on that so we can start hitting the ground running for next year with that. And obviously in November, we talk on the Christmas stroll, and I did have a few groups who were asking for some itineraries. And then we have our ongoing maintenance, our weekly emails, our monthly conventions, and then I provided our Facebook and our Instagram analytics, who also were out the chart as well too. So we were really thrilled to see that as well. And then that's all I have, so if you have any more questions, just let me know.
Alderman Sandor?
Thank you
Yeah.
for your report. I have no questions.
Okay.
Alderman Lester?
Thank you for convincing Commissioner Whitson to
Uh-oh.
address some of our roads in Salado. I appreciate it.
I didn't convince him.
Okay,
He does his own work over there.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Dunn? You got a follow one?
I do. My brain works slower than y'all's, but I apologize for that. But y'all will get there in 20 years. I wanted to ask if Lynette might be willing to give us a little report on the Scottish Games and Festival. I wish I would have forewarned you on that, but I'd like to hear how it went from your perspective, and whichever you prefer.
Is that all from me?
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm not done asking
Okay.
questions, but I would welcome you to stay. I'm happy to hear if we can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want me to finish, or you want to let her?
I would like, I
I'm
would like
good with either.
to speak some things to you, if I may.
Yes, sir.
If you're 20 years advanced training on Alderman Lassiter is okay with that. All right. So first and foremost, phenomenal report. I do have questions, and just general questions.
Sure.
So when it comes to the Fort Campbell Recovery Unit, that's sponsored by the Screaming Eagle Society up there. I'm actually a member of those guys.
Okay.
Service up there. My question is, when, regardless if it's them or just anybody in general comes and visits, my question is, do we get any version of contact information on them, like email, phone number, mailing addresses? Do we get anything like that?
We do have a sign-up sheet. We have one for us for the visitor center, and there's also one for the museum, depending what they're coming for or what they want, or if they even want to give us their information. But yes, we do have their information.
My question is, do we ask, in other words?
Absolutely,
do we
if
ask,
they'd
can I
like
get
to.
Can I get your email address or phone number?
Yes, and it's right there at our counter with them when
Perfect.
we're right there.
And
So
do we provide a follow, hey, Mr. and Mrs. America, thanks for coming and visiting us here in Salado. We look forward to seeing you again. Do we do stuff like that?
we will be doing that. We just signed up this week for the Constant Contacts.
Okay.
And we have a newsletter that we've been waiting for. We've just been waiting for the program, and we finally got that approved. And we've got over 2,000 emails to input in that so that we can start doing that and sending out newsletters. We'd like to do that quarterly.
That's a nice program, simply because you can use that to digitally pin where your visitors are coming from.
Yes.
Start technically working on if there's an opportunity for a marketing plan for that region.
Correct.
To bring them in. When it comes to the medical piece that you were talking about, I respectfully completely understand the context of that conversation. That's an amazing find. I'm sure there was a way that came about, but I just want to say congratulations on discovering that.
Thank
That's
you.
a big,
Yeah, it was very exciting to see it.
that's one of those big deal moments.
Yes, sir.
So well done.
Thank you.
And last but not least, it's nothing more than, it's not a need, it's a question mark, if you can.
Okay.
Alderman Lassiter asked earlier today regarding the administration if it can provide like without getting too deep in the weeds, a visitation bar chart, kind of what we're doing. And I know that on this here, we have something version of that, which is showing Facebook hits, right?
Right.
Could you possibly generalize, start the data process of maybe letting us know month to month, so that once we start hearing the board here year to year, we can see when we can expect a really high influx of people versus it's not so much this month kind of deal?
Yeah, so if you look at my website metrics, at the that number is very small, but underneath that 72K, you can see it went up 18.2%. And these would be month by month.
sorry.
It'll see the last 28 days. That's okay. And then on the Facebook analytics, it does have the bar.
It does.
And then on the Instagram, they do it differently as well too, but then you can also see, it just gives you the number of followers, non-followers, and views. I'll see if there's anything else I can find on there to show you that.
I don't want
well.
to add layers of work to your day. It's already
No
busy
problem.
as it is. I'm just making a statement of, strictly for physical visitors coming to the community, it would
Yeah.
be really nice to know what we're getting month to month is the best way to say it, and have some honest, because we can then pseudo guesstimate what we're going to get for visitors next month and month
Sure.
after.
Sure. The only thing I can say on the Instagram is that last month's was 10,335, and then the November was 13,192.
That's pretty significant.
So it's very good. Yes, sir.
Well done. I have no further questions, and thank you for
Okay.
that.
Yep, you're very welcome. Thank y'all.
Ms. Jones, thank you.
And I do want to add also to the Fort Campbell group.
Yeah.
That was booked through me. They contacted me. Unfortunately, it was the Wednesday of the Scottish gathering. It was a tough time. I really wanted to cancel it because I thought I do not have the time for it. But I thought, no, we need to do this. Found out later it was actually the daughter of a friend of mine that lives here in Salado. She lives in Fort Campbell, but I'm the reason she wanted to do this. And I'm like, bad timing, but it turned out really, really well. And like I said, Deanna was very gracious of greeting them and passing out the information about the village to them as well. So, and in the future, I do plan to do better on those things when I do have, especially large groups. We get tour groups a lot. Sometimes I remember to tell Deanna, and sometimes I don't. And that particular one, it was just such a bad week. I mean, so full. So, getting to the Scottish gathering, yes, very successful. I don't know if you want me to give you dollar amounts, but we were about, percentage-wise, 40% higher over anything we've ever done in the past, money-wise. More participants. Mm-hmm. I know more ticket sales, more bands, more drummers, dancers, clans. We had almost 70 tents, which we normally have about 40. We had almost 70. So very significant with that as well, and they all loved it. With the Inn on the Creek property and how it was all set up, fabulous. But our biggest complaint is we did not have enough food vendors, which is very hard to do, especially Scottish food vendors. But that's something we've got to work on, and I think we've got maybe some people that's going to help us work on that as well. So that was our probably biggest complaint. That, and it wasn't all ADA accessible. Well, I'm sorry. We can't do that. It's not going to be ADA accessible in the type of festival it is. It just happens. But otherwise, yes, very, very successful. And I will have, when Manny gives me the go-ahead, and I do want to make an apology right now because I was supposed to give a report from the money that you gave us last year, actually the 2 years. Of course, we got the money, I think in April, I can't remember exactly sure, and then I was supposed to give the report in July. I guess I had it in my mind it was going to be the following July because I know when we got money through the hot tax funds back previous administration, they didn't want the report for 4 months after the event. So I guess I had that in my mind. It wouldn't be until after 2026, after we had a full year of programming. But that has been sent to Mr. De La Rosa, and whenever y'all are ready for me to present the whole year, happy to do that. Any other questions about any of it? I'm not 100% sure on that. I think part of the reason that we were, plus we put it out there that it was going to be on the creek. Katie Hill and I both went to one of the games in Sherman and went around and talked to a lot of the clans and said, hey, we're going to be on the creek this year. Y'all come. I went to San Antonio to their games in April of last year as well. So I think that helped a lot too, that we actually went out and meet and greet. We're also going to have a Burns night dinner at the museum in January too. So getting more and more stuff pulled to Salado surrounding the Scottish heritage.
Alderman Sander?
Do you happen to know how much money you raised this year
On the game?
during the game?
You
Just
want the
to the nearest $5,000 bill or something like that. Roughly.
60,000.
Awesome. And that's approximately a 40% increase. in what
Yeah,
you're
last
thinking.
year I think was, I don't know, my treasurer was here as well, but I think it was right at 40,000 last year, 38,000.
Yeah,
So
congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you. That's all I got.
I was just gonna ask about the venue. Is, is that venue superior to the other ones that I've seen in the last few years?
Definitely. A little harder to control people sneaking in because it is such a large area to have to control. We did rent fencing from Viking Fence, and that helped a lot. That kind of curtailed people, 6-foot chain link fencing. But again, a lot of expense with that as well. So it's hard for us to put all of that up. We relied a lot on the orange construction fencing to keep people out. Mm-hmm.
But all in all, that's
Definitely.
the prime venue for y'all.
As long as we don't get any rain. No. And I think even if we did have rain, there are some areas that would be problematic, but there is also enough high ground. I think we would be okay unless it just, unless we have a flood, which it's happened.
I don't know, nor do I need to ask the reasons for, it used to be at the ISD building, then it went over to Johnny's, then it went over to the elementary, and then it went here.
Right.
And your feedback obviously was that's where it is.
For the last 5 years, they've all said, we want to go back to the Civic Center. They love the Civic Center.
Yeah.
But there's also, I think, I'm not sure how long the cabins have been there, but they've moved the school in, they put the community garden in, and now they've got all the other gardens. So they, it cut out a lot of the space. Also, with the improvements of the sidewalks, they used to back up to the fence for their parking, and that was a significant part of their parking. And they liked that because they could park right there next to it, but not everybody could. They parked down the Van Bibber all over the place, and it was kind of a mess. But for years, that's all they wanted was, we want to go back to the Civic Center. It just wasn't going to happen. Johnny's was not an ideal situation just because of the terrain. The school was okay. It wasn't a bad spot, but it was removed from town. And same with Johnny's. People want to be close to town. We want to be able to go to the shops.
Yeah.
So definitely a big improvement at the location.
Seems to me that's where it ought to stay.
I hope so. I hope we can convince the property owners to let us stay, because there are 3 property owners involved.
And who are they?
Barrel Brewing, the Rosankis, and on the creek.
Okay. Well, we just have to
Be
do what we
nice.
have to do. Thank them all for me if you would.
Absolutely.
But, it's a great event.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mr. De La Rosa, when it comes to the report from the museum, I know we received some information on that. Do we have that scheduled for a presentation in the near future for the village?
Yes, sir. Now that we have a first meeting,
Yes.
which is January 6th, but most likely based on some other items that
Yes.
need to be addressed at the first meeting and others, I was going to probably move it to the second meeting. You might recall that the museum gets funding from the hot funds.
Yes.
So it's a perfect time to be posing these questions. The report was due sometime right before summer. Me first, and then a presentation to the Board of Aldermen. So that will be planned for the second meeting in January. I think I've got a couple of questions, and one of them was one of the same ones you were asking Alderman Sanders. One of the items that requires is, how did you spend these funds? So we need to know, and I don't think I saw that in the report. I think I forwarded it to you the same day that I received it, along with the programming. You get a report, I look at the programming. That is the way that agreement is set up. Programming follows like it did the previous year. You can add more programs that you like to see or modify them. Right. And some of those comments should come to me, so I know how to incorporate those programming. But to get the $10,000, it requires certain performance metrics be met.
Right.
And some is expenditure reports, some is an annual report, others programming for the 2026 year, so that's not been done. I think that January 6th, we already have quite a few items that need to be addressed. I'm looking probably the same time that we do the financials, which is the second meeting, and I need to get it done in January because if we're on track, they will be submitting an invoice for the new fiscal year on or about February 1st.
Got it.
That's why I'm trying to meet these deadlines.
Sure. And I'm sure they want to meet those deadlines too for everything. So with those reports, so what I understood was a simple articulation of the expenditures from the monies that were provided in a simple way.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just like the questions that are posed. So when I look at this, I would anticipate what you may be asking, but it's in the agreement, so I just got to make sure that it's hitting all of the bullet points that it requires.
This should be just fine. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dover. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Mayor Pro Tem, the Alderman.
Got a question. I'm sorry about it, Alderman.
It's, Manny, so if someone who receives, hot funds, if they owe back to your office any kind of metrics or paperwork and that stuff is tardy, do we have some kind of policy in place to make sure that someone's monitoring that so we can reach out and send a reminder?
Yeah,
or
it does. There's not like you're in breach, but what happens is everybody, the first year it's always just like I mentioned the Stagecoach Inn. First year, we'll see. Second year, you should get it right. So I would anticipate that we won't get these late reports because technically next summer during the budget preparation process, if you're not satisfied that we're getting those metrics met or they're not timely, the contract reads then if we don't budget the funds, there's no funds available for appropriation for the next fiscal year. That's how you control the purse string.
And that makes sense, but when this board's responsible for divvying out that money when a request comes in, assuming it's eligible.
Yes, sir.
And I want to make sure that anybody who receives that money does what they have to do on the backside in return, so that way that business is reciprocating back and forth properly.
Yes, sir. And we saw a lot of the programming, but it needs to be memorialized with reports filed, so if we get audited, we can explain that, right? It's like the pre-application process is the agreement with the metrics. The post is those reports. And if they don't meet it, then you don't give any more funding. So we're still good for now because we haven't allocated any more funds.
It's a quantify and qualify conversation.
I understand.
Yeah.
We need to use that money to support.
We want to use it, yeah. And we certainly want to work with anybody that's getting these funds. And again, I wasn't looking for it until I think in October is when I sent it. He says, hey, at the start of the fiscal, I said, I didn't get a report and you didn't provide one. So
that's to my point is if that happens again,
then I tell you, and then I tell you, then I make a recommendation. Either we continue the program or we cease it.
I don't think I'm phrasing this right. So if someone owes a report back, and is there a timeline of when they're supposed to report that back? I would assume that there has to be some kind of threshold somewhere.
No, the only timeline is that every summer the board controls it through an appropriation.
I'm going to yield my questions. I can do this not at this meeting.
Oh,
okay.
fine.
Yeah, no problem. I'm good with your answers, though. Thank you. Yeah.
Let me ask a separate question and move forward. In the agreement with museum, is it outlined in the agreement when reports are due?
Yes.
That's the answer. To me, that's the answer to a question. In other words, without getting disrespectful by any measure, if I owe you a report on 1 October and I sign the agreement and you sign the agreement, it's my responsibility due diligence to know my own agreement to provide those reports to you as required. Not saying that you didn't do it or this is not about that. It's just to answer your question is the agreement specifically states functionally due dates of reports and what's required in those reports. Simply. Does that help with your question?
It does, except if the person that owes that report doesn't have it to us by said time,
sure.
Do we just do anything or do we do nothing?
No, it doesn't have a penalty clause like that.
I'm not looking for a penalty.
Yeah.
I'm looking for is there someone in your staff that could be responsible to make sure that when that money goes out and somebody owes a report back and the report's tardy, that they reach out and say, this was due yesterday, we didn't get it, we'd like to see that. How soon is it going to take you to get that to us? Because there's a lot of sensitivity around these hot funds, and we just want to make sure that the business is being taken care of properly. I'm not pointing my finger at anybody. It sounds like there was an opportunity that something could have come in late, and so I think we should manage that instead of, juggling it later on. That's all. Again, this can be done later. So I've got my answers though, and I appreciate that. Thank y'all.
Point taken. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Lynette.
All right, number 7 alpha. Discussion and possible action on a possible memorandum for understanding, lease agreement, or rental agreement for the office space needed for the village's visitor center. Mr. Delrose.
Okay, if I may, you've got 3 attachments, a commercial lease with Carriage Place, and 2 memorandums of agreement with the Salado Museum and College Park, one with a fixed rate and second with a variable. And Mayor Pro Tem and Alderman, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a recommendation, and then you can have a discussion based on that recommendation, or I'll answer any questions. But having reviewed all 3 agreements, it is my recommendation that we proceed with a memorandum of agreement with the Salado Museum and College Park at the fixed rate. I always prefer fixed rate over variable rates. I think it meets our needs, at least for the time being, based on the conversations we've had recently. We're still on Main Street. We've got a relationship with the museum, and we don't face additional costs of relocation costs, telephone systems, and all that, trying to figure out where we're going. So that is my recommendation. I'll be happy to answer any specifics, but if not, it's just a preference. But I wanted to start off with that.
Alderman Santos.
So I talked to a museum board member, the executive director, and to Mrs. Whitson about this, and it seems to me like I like that office being in the museum. I think it makes reasonable sense given the pedestrian traffic that often is in that geographic area of town, and but it also seemed like there was some underlying current of our staff being responsible to do museum-specific staff items, and maybe even vice versa. And I'm not sure that's appropriate, so I want to bring that up. I think if it's going to stay in the museum needs to be the museum. They have their own board, they have their own staff, they have their own tasks that they know about to run their business. And I think that Mrs. Whitson's office should only be doing the things that she is hired and within her scope. So that's what I want to bring to this board for discussion and consideration for staying at the museum. Also, if we're going to stay at the museum, it would be my opinion that we need to keep the 60-day clause in the contract, which I think it's in there anyway, just in case we have to exercise that if we can't get that part right, because I think there's liabilities there, and I just don't understand that relationship. So, and I'm open to hearing more about it from board members or the executive director if we need to talk about that. That's all I have for my comments.
Alderman Lester.
I had my own discussions recently with the chamber and with the tourism department and the museum, and got to know some things about it, and got a great tour of the place and the rest. Independent of your discussion, I'm in line with that. I think when I see the museum being there, I like the fact that I see the potential for synergy. I don't know that it's working in that capacity, but I like the synergy of the tourism CVB being there with it. In some respects, I'm sorry to see the chamber go, because to me, the three of them, I thought that was well positioned, but for whatever reason, I respect what the chamber wanted to do and leaving and do their own thing. And I think they're doing appears to be a really good job in growth of their organization, so I don't want to mess with that. I do believe that our tourism and CVB has a broader scope of responsibility than the museum itself does, and places to go and people to see. And it concerns me with some of the responsibilities laid on them for or given to them with respect to the museum. And I would like to see that independence between the two, but cooperation between the two. Because I want the CVB to be out there, and I don't want them straddled necessarily with being at the museum at all times, or close to it. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but I would prefer a 1-year contract and see how that goes before tying it up for committing the village to 3 years. If things work well over the next year, then I might reconsider that. But as I said, I'm concerned that not taking anything away from the museum, I want to focus a lot in this coming year on our CVB and our tourism to see that we are really benefiting our business owners. And I just feel that's imperative. I feel like this year it just kind of got past me, but I love marketing, and I know that takes a lot of foot traffic and making relationships with people. So I'm just rambling, but I'd say this: I am for staying there. I think the rental rate is fair given the fact that we get the use of convention conference rooms and the rest. I prefer fixed rates. But I want there to be some independence between the two, but cooperation as a whole. That's where I am on the subject. Thank you.
Alderman.
Well, I feel like I'm going to echo Alderman Sanders and Alderman Lassiter. I appreciate your input, Mr. Delarosa, on this. I also appreciate having this extra week to really, I know we deliberated this quite a bit at the last Alderman meeting, but it's a critical decision on where we're headed with this because tourism is our livelihood. The center of gravity is still that part of town. We get a lot of foot traffic. I don't know if we need to go 3 years from the contract if we have a 60-day out, because a 1 year versus 3 years is a 60-day out. If the most ideal location, I was 100% sold on the location up here, but if something were to come up that they could stand on our own and it's the right rate and something like that, I definitely like the flexibility of having the ability to move out of the museum. But no, for right now, I just feel like there's tremendous synergies. I've had the opportunity to, like Alderman Sanders and Alderman Lassiter, to go talk to all the different stakeholders in the last week, which was extremely beneficial. We are a small community. You know, I don't like seeing the chamber move out. I understand they have their reasonings, splitting it apart, but it's heavily based on a lot of volunteers on all of these. We're not Houston, so having all these separate buildings and stuff is all this infrastructure. So we should be acting as a community, helping each other. From my understanding, you know, there's been confusion on roles and responsibilities between the two and where it is. I think we probably need a more detailed potential contract to understand those, if there's been those things, to make it come to more understanding of how we're going to operate. But I think as a community, we should be helping each other out and lending helping hands where needed, because it is heavily volunteer. So that's my set. My position is that we should stay for now, make clarity in the contract, but have the ability and the flexibility if this great opportunity and a new location came available, yeah, then we can jump on it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may address.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Lassiter.
Yes.
Alderman Lassiter, the only reason I was advocating for the 3-year, because there's a 60-day out, but it locks the donation amount for 3 years with no change. If you do a 1 year, it's subject to go up next year. So I was favorable on the monthly rent, staying locked in for 3 years.
Can we not ask for a fixed rate for 3 years?
No, it is locked in for 3 years.
You're saying that it's locked in for 3 years?
Yes, sir, that's the way I read this agreement, yes, with the 60-day out.
I just don't like to make long-term contracts from a government standpoint myself. I would prefer just the opposite of that, say 1 year with 2 1-year extensions at the same rate. And just say, that's what we demand and that's what we want. And I think you get to the same place, but we don't find ourselves to extend for a full 3 years. So, but I'm saying we go back to the museum and say, we'll do it 1 year, but we want the option to extend for 2 1-year periods at the same rate. And I think we just cut the sandwich a little different, but we're the same.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, our sublease agreement with the chamber terminates January 5th. And we don't meet again between now and January 5th. So technically, we will be in the museum building on January 6th without a lease. That's the concern. So unless the stakeholders, unless they're here and says, yeah, we're good with 1 year, and you can make a motion with that. But short of that, we're running out of time.
What kind of lease? What is the actual lease? Is it a truck form lease?
No, sir.
Does it have a month-to-month lease behind it when the termination, the expiration date comes?
No, sir, I didn't read that. No month after that. It's a full 3
think
years.
it would be okay.
Yeah.
I'm done. I heard it too.
Alderman Lassiter, I'm sorry, Alderman Sandor, you had something?
Oh, no, I just wanted to make sure that we all understand that the contract has language in it currently where if we want, we can give a 60-day notice to move on. And I think PGA is already comfortable with that.
And my assumption is that, I didn't see it, but there is no payment penalty as a, with respect to providing 60 days notice of leaving?
There's none, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I'll reserve my comments. Ms. Jones, you want to speak on this for public comments?
Yeah. I actually will, just to verify something.
I'm not going to read what I had written out because it seems to me as if that's what you're going to approve, and I'm not going to waste your time with that. I do want to say that as far as our working relationship with the museum and the tourism, we do stay in our lanes. However, we help if we need to. Today, for example, I was downstairs. Deanna was in her office on the phone. 2 ladies walked in. What was I going to do? I'm sorry, I can't talk to you. I said, what brings you in today? Well, we're just visiting Salado. Fabulous. Let me, do you want information about the town? Yes, that's what we'd like. So I did. I talked to them for 5-10 minutes. The one lady was actually from Scotland. And so if they had said, we came in for the museum, I could say, well, let me show you the museum. But, oh, sorry, you came in for the village. I can't talk to you. So that it kind of makes me feel that way. I'm not saying that's what you were implying, but I feel like we have to kind of give and take with each other. I don't take care of her business. She doesn't take care of our business, but we do help each other. And I think that's very important that we do assist each other and not just your museum, your tourism. And that's my opinion, but because I feel like the museum is also tourism in my mind. So that's mainly what I want to say. And I also want to say that we have a group coming in January. It's the Texas Historical Foundation. It's 40 people from all over the state. I met this gentleman at the Bell County Museum, and met him again at the Texas Historical Foundation's, or Commission's meeting, and talked to him again, and he said, hey, we think we may want to do our meeting in Salado. And I said, oh, that'd be fabulous. He said, well, can you get me a tour of this? And he showed me a picture of the Robertson Foundation home. And I said, absolutely I can. He said, really? You can get me a tour? I said, absolutely I can. And so then I had to go call Sterling and say, hey, can we do a tour of the house? But with that, when I got back, I went to Deanna and I said, here is some people that are thinking of coming for their state quarterly meeting. And from there, she contacted them. Like I say, they're staying 2 nights. They're having a meet and greet at a winery. They're eating at restaurants every meal, doing their meeting at the museum on Saturday morning, and doing the tour on Friday. So, you know, had it not been for that, I didn't have to give Deanna that information, but I do because it's very important, and that's what I want to do, and I want us to work together in that respect. But yet, of course, she takes care of her business, I take care of mine. So just want to say that.
Is that all, Matt?
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
I'd like to respond to that. Matt, or not?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't want to start a trial here, but I'm only saying things based on conversations I had with you, someone on your board, and Mrs. Whitman.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And it's not like I sit up there, so I can't know what you just said unless you tell me. I think you take offense to what I say.
No, I'm not.
So let me be really clear right now. I actually am not totally in favor of staying at the museum. I'm in favor of moving them to their own building. Very specifically, I'm in favor of moving them to the building on Van Bibber, which no one was talking about last week, but I went and did my own research and realized that that would be a really good opportunity for them. What I will say is if we're going to vote tonight, we have a pivot. We have an opportunity that works just fine that we can afford. What I don't want is someone telling me that a village staff person is being made to open and unlock doors because your people can't get there when there's so many of y'all. I wasn't going to say that, but if we're going to have a debate, then that's what I'll say. The museum needs to decide what they want to do. We're trying to help you because you and your board director or whoever he is said that you guys counted on the income from the rent. But there needs to be a separation. The board, I understand that people could walk in and go one direction or another. I don't need that argument. That's pretty obvious. But if that's going to be a problem, well, we'll just make a separation. We won't have to talk about it.
I'm pretty sure what you are referring to is we had a volunteer that worked every Saturday, and she was gone most of the summer. And I did ask, could they open the door? It's not unlock it or anything. Open the door and turn on the light switch. When Bert was mayor, I talked to him about it, and he said, is that it? And I said, you know, that's it. And, you know, I don't know, you say there's so many of us. We have volunteers, and there's 2 part-time employees at the museum, and that's it. But it's not now. My volunteer is back, and she is there every Saturday, and we are there from 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. So we do cover all the hours presently. Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Comments?
I do not.
Well, I do. So while you're thinking about it, I haven't spoken, so I'd like to speak to the board. My position's been pretty clear from the get-go. What I mean by that is I absolutely see the merit and the value of being down there. But I also do share the agreement of there's an opportunity to pivot, to singularize, because what we do down there is not tourism. I know we call it tourism, but it's not tourism. It's CVB for a reason. Okay, and I want to be very clear about that. There's legality to that. I really don't worry about personality, and I'm not being disrespectful to any party involved. I don't worry about the personality. We all have personalities, and some days we just don't agree with some things. But I'm looking at it from an analytical point of view. All right? We have an opportunity right now, based on the conversation, to stand up our CVB in its own opportunity, its own office space that's on the floor right now for that. Okay? we can continue with what we're doing, and it's comfortable, and it's good, right? But there's also an opportunity to do something great, and that is to stand alone, to let it grow. We do have that opportunity as well. And as it was pointed out with respect, that yes, it will cost us through hot tax more money, but at the same instant, we have an opportunity to spread that love of what the CVB does all over town, not just in one centralized location. At the last board meeting, I did bring up very directly that prior to moving to the museum, under with the chamber at the time, everything was set up at the log cabin where the architect is at, not architect, but our
Travis quickly.
right, our surveyor's at. And you spoke yourself that when you came to town, that was the first place you went. When I discovered Salado, that was the first place I went. That was way back. So what I'm making a statement is that to say that the CVB in and of its own, by proxy, cannot stand on its own, I'm not a believer in that. I'm just not. Okay? And I also understand that hot tax money is still taxpayer money, and that is a very honest statement. However, it's the investment of what we're doing as well. And I like to bring this up equally. When we donate, other than space, there's technically no return. And yes, that money technically, as prescribed by the director, does generally stay in the community. However, the location on 805 or even on Van Biver, that is a for-profit organization, regardless of where they're at, they pay property taxes. In some odd way, we're getting some of that money back too as well. It's a fact. I look at all the angles of it, not just the one. And just because it's been comfortable for years and years and years, sometimes it's okay to stretch the road. That's what I leave with. That's all I got. Oh, alibi. And if we can't come to agreement, either way, we're moving out of there. If we can't come to agreement, we're not staying. That's important. And that's a fact. So, Mr. Del Rosa, anything you want to add to this?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add to this, Alderman Lassiter?
The CDB issues and the monies we're giving through ID donations are fine with me, to helping to support the museum existence there, their cash flow, let's say, not their existence, their cash flow. The chamber moving out is certainly a hit for them. I don't want to punish the museum in any way, shape, or form, but I don't. I think it's a very valuable asset to the community, and they handle what I will say is clearly the second best, in some people's minds, the best event of the year with the Scottish Clan. So I really like that. But I do see that there needs to be separation in the existence of it, so that Deanna and her people can focus on the conventions and the things that we are wanting on a bigger, broader basis. And the museum is there, so yes, they can be of help to it, but how much does it cost to go get a volunteer to help sit at that front desk, which nobody sits at that front desk? And the assistant museum person I see sits in what looks to me to be like a closet, not in the front. Well, I think that's where somebody should be. And I know in lots of places, people sign up and do volunteer work for the museum. Say, I'll do that. The people we are trying to pay over here with Deanna and her assistant, to me, not diminishing at all what the museum does. I want to be perfectly clear on that, but we're asking for a lot more, and I want more from that. from our hot tax dollars than being there. I can't sit here and tell you how much time they're having to contribute to that. Maybe they can at some point, but I clearly see that the museum is here and our CVB, when we're asking for more and expecting more, needs to have the independence to attain that productivity. I think that's how I see it. I am, if the 3 years is a big deal to y'all, I just let you know I'll go along with that, so long as we keep the 60-day provision with no penalty. But I really would like to get an understanding, a clear understanding about the separation of duties inside there. If that is not going to be agreed to by us, then I'd prefer that. Frankly, I would prefer, because I'm familiar with that cabin too. I think it was, did you say maybe it was a little more expensive or about the same?
Go ahead.
It's more expensive than what we're paying at the museum. It is only plus or minus $80 more than I think 805 North Main Street, which for the record, I am not in favor of at all. I'm not going to get into why, but I don't think that's the right place for a village office. Other than the address, I don't think it's the right place. The museum would be ideal, but I'm with you. There needs to be some kind of separation there.
Paul, ask a question there, please. Mr. De La Rosa, in the event that we don't make a decision tonight, because it's clouded at this point, in the event that we don't make a decision, what is the natural course of action from this point forward for Ms. Woodson and Ms. Lane?
Well, since the chamber provided their 60-day notice in accordance with the sublease agreement we have, that means that as of January the 5th, we do not have any right to be in the Salado Museum.
Right, I'm listening.
So unless they agree to allow us to stay there on a month-to-month or some other, which means you would authorize me to work through that.
Yes.
And if they say, no, we're not, then I would have to relocate it, and not having anywhere else. They would be brought into this building. We would set up workstations. We call our telephone company to set up some phones, and they would be on one side of the room or the other. And they would be working out of this building until a decision is made by the board, or we have a viable rental agreement somewhere.
Or we sign what is we got, and we still, the next day, could give a 60-day notice and gives us the time to look for the right place for where we want it, because I don't think the options we have so far are the ideal, and it's been too important of a move, if we are going to move, not to get it right.
Okay, so I could go along with a new 3-year with the 60-day if we have to, because what I want to do is make clear, if we are to stay there, that the operational issues have been addressed properly. And it's just 60 days if that's the case, and if that's the case, then we get to pick our, if we can't get to agreement on that, then we can choose another location, whether it's 805 or the one on Van River. So that seems to give us the most flexibility without risking the expiration, the termination of the lease. Do y'all follow that?
Yeah, and a planned move is going to take 60 days anyways, even if we found something saying open tomorrow. We're like, oh my gosh, this is like the beacon of the most perfect location.
No, I get it. It gives us time and gets us past the crunch of the holidays and lets us have an opportunity to see if we can hash this, come to an agreement on the operational issue there, and then we could give them 60 days notice and leave. So I'll throw that out there. I'm willing to consider anything else, though.
Any other comment from the board?
Yeah, so I just want to be clear that I do think that where they're at currently in the museum will work fine, as long as we can arrive at some kind of boundaries between the two entities. Very normal in a rental environment, a commercial rental environment. And if that's not acceptable, then then that would be the trouble that I would have with that agreement. So
Yes, sir. Nowhere in here does it ask us to do anything to help the museum, hours or anything. We're just a renter in the building.
that is
So-
the way that I see it also.
Yes, sir. So if there it is, I would say that if our CVP manager says, hey, I'm having some issues with our landlord, then I get involved. But I do recall that Ms. Jones did mention Mayor Henry's name, and I do recall him mentioning something that we could have a better working relationship, but to what extent, I was not told. Yeah, but from day one, when I first came on board, is I want city employees doing city business. We're there, we don't mind helping, but we're not gonna help you with your side of the house. We're not gonna commit. If we're available, it's one thing, but don't expect it from us.
Yeah, extending a courtesy from a patron visiting and
Yeah.
guiding them in whichever direction they need to go, that goes without saying.
Yes.
That should happen in either direction because it's a shared space, right? But that's not all of what I heard. So I heard many other things that didn't align with just that. And that's where I'm looking for a separation. That's all. Should be very simple in my mind.
And I will make sure it happens.
All right, no further comments from the board? And I will entertain a detailed motion.
Detailed motion, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
A little vague. I'm nervous that I won't get it right for you.
Let me start from the top down. Currently, the administrator has recommended the fixed rate for the museum. I will start there and end there and let everybody else fill in the rest.
Yeah, I may need a little help then. So I'll move that we approve the village administrator's recommendation. I apologize, Mayor Pro Tem. What else? Sir? Yeah, please. I do need some help, yeah.
Well, it's with the agenda item approved 7A, which with the fixed rate option, which, just for the record, includes a 60-day termination notice.
Yeah.
I think it's that simple.
That works.
For 3 years or 1 year based on the conversation at the board.
I believe the administrator's recommendation.
3 years because it locks the rate in.
Correct. So 3 years.
And we don't have time to go negotiate before the January 5th. My only thing going forward is that there's consistently, we're up against the bar on last minute things. We've got to get ahead of these things. So I don't like the last minute and that's one of the reasons why we're in this, is because this is such a critical decision and it was on the agenda just the last Alderman meeting. So
I concur.
So that's why I will not quickly make a decision on something so critical to the village. So I will stay where we are, but.
Is that your motion?
No, the motion is 7A, fixed rate, just for clarification, with the 60-day termination.
All right, what I have as a motion from Alderman Dunch is 7A2 memorandum agreement, Salado Museum of College Park, fixed rate for 3 years and a 60-day termination clause in effect. Do I have a second?
Second. Thank you, Alderman Dunn.
I got a second from Alderman Sandor. Do I have a question?
Question.
Question call.
Oh. Oh,
What's your question?
The question I have is with respect to the operational issues. Is that a non-written agreement that a part of it that we instruct the city administrator to follow our desires with respect to the separation of those? Is that my understanding?
May I answer that for you professionally? Sure. If you like to ask Alderman Dunch to amend his motion to add those extra details in, to instruct the city administrator to provide oversight and overview based on that conversation. then you can make that recommendation, but it's currently not part of the motion. If you would like to do that, you would ask him that now.
Yes, may I ask you to consider amending the motion, Alderman Dunn, to include the instruction to the city administrator that we will attempt to delineate or separate, rather, the responsibility of the museum between CVP and the museum staff.
Given the time crunch, do we have time for that, Mr. Della Rosa?
Yeah, those are more instructions. We're not amending the agreement. He's just including that requirement as part of the motion. Alderman Dunn.
Okay. Because I'm envisioning that we would have to open it up to an amendment to the current contract with rules on it. But what we're, rephrase your question. Rephrase how you want that added again, sorry.
Let me try to simplify it, but if we have the understanding of the city administrator that he will see to it that our desire is for that to happen, then I'm willing to live with that, accept that. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then I don't think there's any need to put an amendment in there. Okay. Second question be asked on the original, motion.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Dunch. I'll repeat it for history. I have a motion by Alderman Dunch for 7 Alpha 2 Memorandum of Agreement, Salado Museum and College Park fixed rates for 3 years with a 60-day termination clause built in, and nothing followed. And it was followed by a second by Alderman Sandor. The next answer is question. Question has been called. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed? It carries 4-0. All right. Next item. Discussion and possible action on terminating any movement towards acquisition of the City of Georgetown's water certificate of convenience and necessity within the Village of Salado's extraterritorial jurisdiction. Mr. Della Rosa.
Okay. About a week ago, I forwarded you a legal opinion from our city attorney with some concerns. Once we had a draft agreement from Georgetown's city attorney on the matter, we determined from that, and then today I put in front of you something at the top right. It says 7B.
Yes.
And if you look at the very first paragraph, which says Manny, this is an email from Georgetown's attorney. You can read that. This is attorney-client privileged communication, so we could always go into the executive session, but I don't think it's necessary. But Mr. Katz is available if you've got any questions, which means we would have to go into executive session. But the point is that how it was presented to us, or how we understood it, was they were going to decertify and transfer CCN to us. Well, as the attorneys on all over, plus the second staple set of papers, on the second page, you'll see an email from Tracy Montes with the Section Director for Mapping Infrastructure Division, confirming again that that the method for us to acquire it is they will go through decertification. They would like for us to agree to help them with that decertification. I'm not in favor of that at our cost, because we would have to go through an entire an application process to get a CCN issued to the Village of Salado, because we are currently not a water provider. And since we are not able to enter into an agreement with anybody locally, and I've had that conversation with a local water purveyor, not interested, maybe being our operator, but not enter into a partnership because they don't want me to have that commitment. It is my recommendation, having done this in 2008, it is very costly, time-consuming. You'll incur legal and more engineering, because a full-fledged application is just different from a transfer. And for that reason, it is an investment. It is a long-term investment. But based that it's much more complicated, I am not recommending that we go through and add additional finances to take it on this project. If it occurs, let it occur in the future. And then we'll just, let's see who goes out after it. Georgetown may continue to attempt to decertify, but they should do that on their own merits and not on ours. So with that, I recommend that we cease moving forward.
Before we comment, I just want to make a very important statement. Do not read anything from these emails from the diocese, please, locally. Don't read anything out loud, just in case. Am I saying that properly?
Yes, sir. Since it is attorney-client communication and these are part of the negotiations, they're protected in privileged communication.
If the board chooses to go in executive session, you can make the motion, we can do that, and get a hold of Josh Cass on the phone, but that's pretty much where we're at right now, before we move forward. You want legal advice for it? Yes or no? I see 2 no's so far, 3 no's, 4 no's, we'll move forward. All right, with that information involved, Mr. Alderman Sandor, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, Mr. De La Rosa, this is the same subject property and water item that you recommended earlier, is it not?
Yes, sir. It's the area south of town on the western side of I-35. It takes in approximately the Solano Ranch in that area.
Okay. And so when it was presented to the Village of Salado early on, it clearly seemed attractive, and it did to me based on the information that was available at that time, and that clearly has changed. But I think there was a piece of money, and I don't remember exactly, maybe $25,000. I think that the public's going to want an answer on what did or did not happen with that $25,000.
Yeah. So far, we've incurred about $2,800 is what I saw. The $25,000 we're going to come from the application fee that Mustang Springs provided us from the PID application. So you'll see that eventually it'll get reconciled. But engineering, I don't anticipate that we had more than 2 hours working on the mapping to present some of the documents that we provided you, verifying what was sent to us. In other words, we didn't have to put it together. The map or the GIS information or some type of files were sent to us. It could only be opened by special software that are engineers, and all they did was print out those maps. So it's like if they spent an hour or two at the most, that's about it. Most of it has just been getting our city attorney to read these agreements.
So you don't have an exact amount, but we haven't spent $25,000.
We have spent less than 5.
Okay, thank you. No further.
Alderman Lassie?
Yes, that's a good question. See how far we've gone in this. I am, we've been moving pretty fast. I finally got around earlier this week and was able to have lengthy visits with 2 water experts in the Central Texas region, and extremely knowledgeable about it, and in close proximity to where we live. And I guess to be short with it, it seemed like there was, this was like the old Greek mythology with the Trojan horse. It looks awfully enticing and the rest, but once you peel back the onion and know what all it entails, it's not very attractive, and it's certainly not attractive for a community our size to be expecting or anticipating capital resources in the tens of millions of dollars. And we're better off letting municipal utility districts come in and do that and us take the back seat, in my opinion, going forward. But I'm really glad that you brought this up, and your recommendation I certainly agree with. I think we need to say we had good intentions with respect to looking at this. We didn't know what we know now, and that's fair. Thankfully, we haven't spent a lot of money on it, but I am ready to shut that down and say, okay, we took a good look at it. We did not spend $25,000, even anywhere close to that, and we'll close this chapter and move on down and focus on our more short-term needs and issues. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, just comments, and we were talking about this before, if I recall correctly, other surrounding areas were picking up and had the opportunity to buy or transfer as well. Do we know what they're doing with those, just out of curiosity from, but a lot of them control the water in their own.
They control the water.
Cedar
Yeah.
Park and all those control their water, right?
For example, City of Killeen doesn't have a water. It's the
Yeah.
WCID. I would imagine that they have a relationship, and for that reason, they're going to be able to move forward. We don't have somebody that we can have that type of relationship, that type of,
If we
finance.
did, if we did, would you be moving, would you thinking we should move forward then?
If we did, yes, sir.
So, okay. And then from a time perspective on this, I think we're kind of aligned, but when do we have to let them know?
They'll get an email tomorrow.
But what, is there a deadline to this?
No, so there wasn't. You were always going to have to approve an agreement that both the Village of Salado was going to have to approve and the City of Georgetown. So this was never a done deal until both agree on. So the draft agreement is what we saw, the city attorney and I, and it could not support that. We didn't believe in our best interest, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, just.
Not at this time, yeah.
Guess it's disappointing that Salado Water Supply wasn't interested, so that's.
Well, I would rather not sit with the company, yeah, but I did speak with him.
Okay, thank you.
I think we got our answers already, because you kind of covered down on that real fast, and the presumption is that our local water supply is not in the current receiving mode or partnership mode for this, and that's okay, that's their purview to make that decision too, and that's, we respect that. So with that being stated, I have no further questions to you, Mr. Del Rosa, and I'll open this up to public comment. Good evening, Mr. Boynton.
Jim Boynton, 3565 FM 2843. I spoke really hard against y'all trying to approve that before. This was a dead horse from the word go, and the thing I disagree with that happened was after I spoke and y'all called for a vote, called for the question to vote, the city manager and the engineers talked you guys into this. You weren't here, but I was, and I'm just telling you, it was a circus. This is a dead horse, a Trojan horse, whatever you want to call it. It was a free thing that could have been had by anybody, and nobody wanted it. There is nothing that we could do with that would benefit the taxpayers of the city. The only person that would affect and help would be Mustang Springs. That ought to be pretty obvious. The other thing that is not being said is this. The state legislature is not happy with the operation of a lot of these water systems. And there's fixing to be some alterations at the state level, I believe. I'm just telling you what I believe. Where they're going to be required to start supplying water, because what has happened in a lot of places, I own pieces of this, I own meters in this water utility district. Georgetown came in and bought it. They raided, the better term is they raided the whole water system, took all the great pieces. They had offered all this to people for a long time, one of which was the Solana Ranch, and they said, no way. There's no water there, there's no infrastructure, nobody to run it. There is nothing good for Salado there. We can't even keep our roads and our trees cut and roads patched, and we're over here spending $25,000 on a speculation with more to come. I think the state legislature will require, if you're holding that permit over there, to go out and supply water in the county. So I appreciate you thinking about it. I think it's a good idea to bail it while you got it.
Any other comments from the community? Mr. De La Rosa?
I don't have any comments.
Mr. De La Rosa? May I respond to a point of that conversation from Mr. Boynton?
You can have communication dialogue with him. Yes, sir.
The only thing I'd like to say publicly on that, on your comments, sir, is the one thing I do take exception to. is that our city administrator doesn't tell us how to think. We think for ourselves freely. And I know you probably didn't mean it that way, but I like to clarify the conversation. Because I was sitting here, and nobody thinks for me except me. That's all.
Well, let me go ahead and respond since you want to go have a back and forth. I believe probably it'd take a pry bar to get off this butt. I'm telling you, when people come to you with a problem, you don't act on it. I could get up here and name for hours the things you could have done and have not done. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. Comments from the board? All right, then I'll open it for a motion. Not yet. You're not there yet. You're not there yet. But we will come back to you later, Alderman Lassiter. Other than Alderman Lassiter, I will entertain a motion on 7 Bravo.
I'll make the motion to, to move away or deny the rescind the opportunity to transfer the CNN to Salado.
I have a motion on the table from Alderman Dunch to terminating the movement, any movement towards the acquisition of the City of Georgetown's water certificate of convenience and necessity within the Village of Salado's extraterritorial jurisdiction. That's how I heard it.
Which includes,
Okay.
I'd like to add, not only terminate that with the City of Georgetown, but also our agreement that we made with MRB on the contract for the $25,000, up to $25,000 in terms of we did we not?
No, so we don't have an agreement. That was just going to be the funding source to get us there. So it's still our money, yes.
If I may very well, there are non-sequenters to that conversation.
I couldn't hear you. What?
They don't count. They're not in the conversation. Okay. So the motion's still on the table for 7 Bravo.
Second.
Second by Alderman Sandor. Any discussion? Thank you. Question's been called. All in favor of 7 Bravo as written, say aye.
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 Any opposed? 4-0. Next item, I will accept the motion from Alderman Lassiter at this time.
Adjourn.
Please.
Motion to
Adjourn at 8:37 in the evening. Good night.